Hi, this is Robert Redfern. You're there. Couldn't find you for the minute. Okay, slightly different story tonight because I want to just give people a just different perspective on what's happening because, you know, everybody's saying, oh, stop coronavirus, do something about the governments, excuse me, but there's not everything we can do about governments. And I know we felt powerful because we had the vote and we had laws on our side, but those laws are actually disappearing very, very quickly from us, and we need to know that. So the point of my newsletter today, which you'll see on if you get a newsletter in the mail, or you can go to naturalhealthynews.com tomorrow and read the whole newsletter, is to we need to get strong and keep strong. And we need to get strong, not just in our body and our health, but in our mind as well, because it's quite important. I don't think things are going to get better so easily without us getting into a position where we're strong to deal with it in the long term. So we'll see what goes on in life, because you don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, a year ago today, my wife was just coming back from Australia. We lived in a different house. We had no plan to move. And here I am a year later in a new house and everything's changed. So things change in life. In fact, coronavirus wasn't even thought of a year ago. So you never know what's going to happen in a year's time. So, but in the meantime, we have to get strong and stay strong. But let me just give you a little bit of my background. My early life would be considered harsh by many people. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze actually. Excuse. That comes with having a curry just before I do my talk. Anyway, my early life would be considered harsh by many people, and I don't mean in my home, but on the streets where we lived. The education available was not particularly excellent, and the expectation was that most would end up in unskilled jobs. In fact, a great success would be a skilled trade in my youth, and you always had to be ready to assume a physical fight because, places were quite violent at that time. I mean, they're still violent now, but it was no different 74 years ago. But the difference was we were just getting over, we were still in the World War II, actually. It didn't finish till 6 months after I was born. But the violence was ingrained in people. People were thought violent. So the playground that I had when I was a child was bomb shelters, bombed out buildings and deserted military camps set in fields. That was our playground. The strange thing is, even though I lost many of the fights, I also won just as many. But those fights and the thinking that went on then just gave me a strength which I carry 60 years later or so. And I am strong. I'm strong because whatever I see in the world, I just think about it and make a careful plan to get around it. I don't ever get frightened. I get concerned, and we should get concerned, but we shouldn't get frightened because, we're human beings. We are the B's and E's of intelligence, and so we should use our intelligence. But what it taught me is don't ever sit down and cower from threats. But I also will also stand up for other people who are under threat and help them. So, and that's why I guess why I am here today. Why am I not just off in some business somewhere, just making money and doing nothing stuff? But I don't do that, Anyway, I think the situation now is worse than when I was born in those post-war years, those tough post-war years. And now I actually feel I need the strength even more, which is making me think about it. That's why I'm writing this. I have to think, why am I doing this? What's the thing? And it's just inherent. But after World War II finally ended in 1946, it was about June 46, it finally ended with the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was the first year of my life, and that was, the history. But it shows everyone was inspired with hope. People were glad the war was over. They could look forward to peace, and everybody looked forward to a brighter future and free from oppression, more to the point. The tyrannical fascists were defeated, and life, could get better. The propaganda from our media still existed, though, and was turned to point at Russia and China as the enemies. I don't know whether they really were, but that's what we were told. The media told us these countries were communist and tyrannical form of socialism, and socialism was bad. Interesting. But the society said we lived in democracies and we were free to vote, and the secret services may have been telling us lies about Russia and China, but it didn't distract us from voting for a move towards a better life. And funny enough, in the UK, we voted for a socialist government, and that was just before, a few months before I was born and a socialist government was voted in, and so my family got to taste socialism. In the next 5 years, they transformed the UK, creating free healthcare, and this included supplying concentrated orange juice, vitamin D3, and milk for children. It was free for everyone. And it was we poor people that embraced it, and that's luckily for me, because I think it gave me a strong grounding in good health. Funny enough, middle-class people thought it was beneath them to get socialist handouts, and so they didn't give it to their children, even though fruit and vitamin D3 wasn't really available because in those days you really got it from the sun or from fish oil, and we got it from cod liver oil, but it really wasn't available to anybody because money was in short supply, especially in the UK, because in fact we used to get food packs from our relatives in Canada. So that's what it was like actually in 1946 when I was born. Anyway, the socialist government lost the next election, and 5 years later, and conservatism that came in slowly took away all the free stuff because they were against people giving handouts and free stuff, even if it is healthy and saving children's lives and making them healthy. And we know what happens next after 1956. And if you don't, I'm not going to mention it here because it was a bad time after they took away all the free stuff. Anyway, what was not apparent was the Secret Service cabal of the Western countries. I mean, the Secret Service had been created, well, between the wars. It always existed in some way, but the Second World War gave a reason for them all to join together into one group, because they wanted to protect us or control the world. Well, let's see. But they created a cabal, and literally they tried to control all governments. They certainly did in the UK, whether it was a socialist government or whether it was a conservative government that they didn't like. They controlled them. And this organisation eventually became known as what we now call the deep state. The CIA is just a front, and the British MI5 and MI6, they're just fronts. You don't really see the real deep state behind these organisations that control them even. It wasn't as easy in the USA because the USA had a clearly defined constitution, and the Americans like to defend that. And I wish we had a constitution, but we don't. We are subjects of Her Majesty the Queen. We do as we're told. Anyway, so it's been more difficult in the USA for the deep state. But so what they did instead, they actively sought to control all the levers of government. So all the people that would, if you like, working for the president, they actually made sure that these were deep state operatives, and you know who they are at the moment. And I won't mention Fauci's name. Oh, I did mention Fauci's name. There you go. Fauci, sorry. Anyway, if they didn't like a president, they would get rid of them. and they get rid of them in different ways, but they do get rid of them. You know they do. In fact, the president at the moment is trying to really do better for the USA with this coronavirus, but the deep state is just literally pulling his strings, and every time he tries to do something, he might not be saying the right things, but we know that he really wants to get the country back working again. But the deep state, their actors are all over the place. You know, don't think that it's just people in secret mass and whatever, that, you know, they pay the operatives. The BBC in the UK is riddled with deep state actors. They run the BBC. Every word that comes out of the mouth of the BBC is following the deep state playbook. Don't make any mistake. Don't think it's just CNN and the Washington Post and all the rest of it. You know, they're in every country. They buy the way or blackmail the way, which is you all know about Epstein, the paedophile. Well, he was paid by the deep state to compromise, and he invited all these people to his houses, into his islands. Cameras were everywhere, secret cameras videoing them. And so that's why all the information that he had on people has disappeared. And of course, he's disappeared. It's called dead. That's the best way to disappear people from by the deep state. Anyway, back to the future. And it's the future now. In 1984, appropriately, and you'll see in a minute why I say appropriately, in the UK, we have just had the most draconian laws in modern time passed. And it was amended and just came into law a few days ago on the 27th of April, just 3 days ago. And these legislative changes to the control of disease regarding vaccination and COVID-19 medical treatment came into force. The UK government now has the power to force any medication on you. It can arrest and detain you indefinitely in a hospital or a centre by simply saying, we believe that you're infected. That's all they have to say. They don't have to say you've broken a law, you've done anything. They can take and destroy all your property. This is in the law. This is written into the law. They can destroy the building that you live in. Again, written into the law. They'll say, oh, because it might be infected. Crazy. You have no right of informed consent, no right of habeas corpus, and that means that you can demand to go before a judge to review it. You have no legal action against any authority. A policeman that comes and arrests you on the suspicion of being infected is completely exonerated, and they can shoot you, they can kill you, and there's no recourse at all. This is written into law. They go into this fine detail. Can you imagine who was writing this, who was thinking it through? We have to be sure that no recourse can ever come back on us, so we'll write every single dot. There's a link actually in the newsletter, and you can go and read it yourself. I mean, it's huge. Massively huge. Why have they done this? Because they're the deep state, and they have partnered with the pharma medical cartel because they have realized how to take control. They've wanted to take control since 1946, but before they were just like controlling governments and prime ministers and presidents and the media, but they really wanted to take absolute control of the world. And in Britain, they have absolute control. It's your turn next. I don't know how they'll get around the Constitution, but it's your turn next, USA, Canada, Australia, Europe. It's your turn next. Well, Europe's already a little bit under the thumb of the EU because they can make laws without any voting or whatever. So an optimist might say, they want the power to protect you against coronavirus. Believe it or not, people on the street I meet saying, oh, it's a good thing this lockdown because, you know, they're keeping us safe. We'll do anything they say, you know, but we've got to be kept safe. You can't be kept safe in the world, and you can't be kept safe by the deep state pharma medical cartel, because that's who is running it all. I've told you before, I have friends and family working in hospitals, and they say there's hardly anybody in. It's just empty. The places are empty. Anyway, so as I say, the optimists might say they're trying to protect us, but these are liars. These people are liars. They've lied all along, and I never trust a liar. And they've proven to be liars in almost all of my 74 years of life. And this coronavirus lie is the most audacious of all. But they're destroying the lives of billions of people around the planet, and just so that everyone will comply. They destroy, you know, the United Nations have published this week that hundreds of thousands of children a year are going to die because they've destroyed the economies of the world. It's not just the USA, it's not just Australia. They're destroying the economies of the whole world. Okay, Russia's going to be okay, and China's going to be okay. I don't know if the deep state extends into Russia and China. People say it's actually in China already. You know, it's part of, you know, they control China as well. I don't know whether they do. I mean, this is beyond my pay grade to know such things. But I know that they're destroying the lives of billions of people. And, you know, if anybody's ever read the books by Aldous Huxley and George Orwell, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World or George Orwell's 1984 describe everything that's going on now. And that's why for them to make this law in 1984 and then enforce it now is just, I don't know. Did they intend to do that? You know, with having a little private joke, actually, that they're going to take over the world? Or is it going to enact the laws in 1984 so they can take over the world now? So can we change anything now? I don't know. I really don't know it, because I can see it all unfolding in front of me. We don't have the power. We're locked down. We're under house arrest. If we go out in the UK, they can do more than just arrest you. They can kill you. They can come and destroy your house. This is true. So I don't know. If you know of a solution, short of a revolution, but we don't have guns in the UK. I know you have guns in the USA for any American viewers, but it's not going to do as much good over here. Anyway, I know that writing to a representative or signing petitions is not going to stop the deep state pharma medical cartel alliance. They don't care for human rights. They don't care for human health. They don't ever even care for the planet, I don't think. They just want power at any cost, and have killed hundreds of thousands, probably millions over the years, many millions, to get what they wish, which is absolute power. So what can we do? Well, we have to take back power. And the power that you have is the power over your own health. You can get healthy. I don't care what you've got. Every day every single day, I get people writing to me saying their life has changed. They've got their health back. Thank you, thank you. So it's not a rare event. It's a normal event. It's rare for people that have followed the plan not to get their health back. So the first thing everybody has to do is take back the power and get power over their own health and get healthy. My saying, I may have said it on camera, but I say it to anybody that I'm speaking to. If you want to live a long, healthy life, live a long, healthy life. Now you might go, but that's obvious, Robert. Yes, but everybody doesn't. They wish for a long, healthy life, but they don't live a long, healthy life to get it. You have to live every day a healthy life. If you're an on-time reader, then you know the plan. I'm sure you've already got one of my books. If you not, then go to naturalhealthynews.com/ebooks and download whichever of my books catches your eye. There's 30 books there on everything that you can dream of, and you can get through it. And they're not difficult to read. They're just playbooks on how to get healthy from any particular condition. Is it all good news? Is it all bad news? Well, I believe most vaccinations are harmless to healthy people. And when I've said this before, people get upset at me. It's like I'm capitulating to the deep state, but I'm not. Because I object to being vaccinated. I object to it completely. I know it causes side effects with people and with children, but invariably, those are not healthy people. They're not healthy children. They're not healthy babies. And I don't want to upset people when I say this, but we have to start creating healthy human beings at the point of conception, not sometime when they've had lots of health problems and they call me and say, Robert, my child's got this or got that. If you start at the point of conception, and that's both the man and woman getting really healthy so that they can create the most healthiest baby possible, and then all the way through to taking nutrients, getting healthy, keeping healthy, and that produces healthy babies. I know, because again, for the last 30 years, I've been helping lots of couples and specifically women get healthy and get healthy babies. But if you didn't get healthy, then we can still help. It just takes a little bit of effort, because invariably you have to change who you are and what you're doing. And you have to not care when people go, why are you eating that food? Why are you not eating this junk food? And you have to just say, it's for my health. I want the power over my health, and I don't want to be involved with hospitals. I don't want to be involved with doctors. I've told you before, I had no idea the name of, you have to register in the UK with a doctor. It's obligatory. I have no idea of the name of my doctor. I've never seen them. I don't go to see them whatsoever. I do go occasionally to have full health checks, but I always go to private doctors because I can tell them what I want. I don't ask a doctor. I tell them what I want and how I want it, like homocysteine testing. Ordinary doctors won't give you a homocysteine test. Homocysteine is critical for measuring how healthy you are. So it's really important. So I believe vaccines are harmless to healthy people, most healthy people. And I can only go with most. It's crazy to say that, every single person in the world won't have a problem. But if these vaccinations are forced on us, then at least it doesn't matter. I'm not going to have a fight with somebody. I'm not going to throw a bomb at them if they come and say, you've got to go and have a vaccine. I'll have a vaccination. I had vaccinations when I was a child. This was after, though, I'd been having my vitamin C and vitamin D3 and my free milk, actually, to make sure that I was getting good nutrients. And of course, the food was better then, because there was less chemicals, less pesticides used in production of food. The food that we ate in the UK was grown in the UK, didn't come from miles away. It was usually grown within sort of 10 miles of where you were eating the food. So everything was different then. Now it's all corporate and mechanized and intensive. So I've told you before, bad news just makes me angry, doesn't make me depressed, doesn't make me sad, and I drive to find a solution. The solution is, if we can't beat them, then we'll just jolly well get healthy, and it doesn't really matter what they do. Even I have, I know what it's like to suffer depression, because I used to suffer from seasonal adjustment disorder. It's called SAD. And when the days went shorter, because we live in northern climes here, it would go dark early at night time and take a while to get light in the morning. So the days were shorter, and that affects your hormones. And so, I was taking, I took our emotion nutrition actually, and that's what introduced me to emotion nutrition. And in fact, we used to buy it from somebody else until they stopped, and then I reformulated it for ourselves, and here we are today, because it's a great product. So no matter how depressed or down you are, you can come out of it. You can stay strong, get strong, stay strong, and go through the plan for that I've got in the newsletter for beating depression and fear. And that's really it. That's all I've got to say on it. As ever, please send me any questions. Emailing is good, robert@goodhealth.nu. You can leave them here, but I have to slog through them all, but that's okay. I was going to say I have nothing better to do, but I do really, but I'm happy, because however you want to communicate, I need you to tell me if you have a problem. I do appreciate everybody saying thank you for helping me get better or whatever. You don't need to, I don't do it for your thanks. I don't do it for anybody to be grateful to me. I do it because something inside, and I hope I was trying to explain where I come from, and that's the thing that drives me to help people to have a better life, because the hope that we had after the World War II was finished seemed to be disappearing fast, and I want to give everybody hope that they can at least be strong and healthy. So you take care, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.